You have not the slightest proof of anything.
But I have my certainty. And armed with that, I will go to your last parish, and the one before that, if necessary. I will find a parent, Father Flynn. Trust me, I will. A parent who probably doesn't know that you're still working with children. And once I do that, you will be exposed. You may even be attacked, metaphorically or otherwise.
You have no right to act on your own.
This is Theater Talk. I'm Susan Haskins. One of the theater's most eminent actresses has taken over the lead in the most celebrated play on Broadway. Her reinterpretation of the role is stunning, and I'm so pleased she's here to discuss it with us. To introduce her, Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
Not only is she one of the theater's finest actresses, she's also one of our favorite guests here on Theater Talk, making her second or third appearance, I think, now. Eileen Atkins, the star of Doubt. Welcome back to New York and back to Theater Talk.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here, not only here, but in New York.
Yes. You were last here in the retreat from Moscow, last time we talked.
Yes.
This time, though, you are doing something I don't believe you've ever done before in your career, which is replace someone in a role. You've replaced Cherry Jones in this terrific play. Why be a replacement person now?
I haven't ever done it before, and I've always said I wouldn't. But I heard about the play. People rang me up and said, you know, because I know Cherry quite well, but and friends of hers rang up and said, oh, Cherry's just opened in a marvelous play, marvelous part. A part you'd enjoy, Eileen, and I knew that Cherry didn't want to come to London, or would be very unlikely to want to come to London. So I said, oh, get hold of a script, somebody, and send it to me, because you know, maybe I'll do it in London.
Right. And
then I read it and thought, wow, what a wonderful part, terrific play. Don't think it'll go in London. My own.
You didn't think it would?
We're a very irreligious country to start with. My bones told me, we don't have many Catholic schools, and we've had no scandals with priests. Well, we probably have, but nobody's taken any notice of them. Oh, well, yeah, that's what happens, you know.
In England.
Yeah, this is England. And we both thought about it, and, you know, we didn't dismiss it straight away. And I said, it's a shame, because I really do think it's a terrific play and a terrific part. And he said, well, let's just let it sit, Eileen. If somebody says they want, if a producer wants to do it, then we'll think about it, but let it sit. And then about 3 months later, they suddenly said, would Eileen like to take over? And first of all, my agent said, no, you don't want to take over. And I said, now, hang on a minute. We're saying, well, you know, I like that part. You know, I really like it. So I decided, oh, what the hell? You know, it's a silly thing to do, I guess. You know, I'm taking over somebody's won a Tony Award, you know, everything. You know, I could suddenly be the disaster.
But you totally made it your own. It's totally different.
Well,
your interpretation, yeah.
You know, when I sat next to a woman in the theater, when I was watching a play, and she said to me, she just looked at me in horror and said, but I can't imagine it being played any better. And I said, stop thinking better, think different.
Right. Now, did you go to see Cherry in the play?
No. And she's not coming to see me because she's going to do the road show. And we have the same... Well, because, I mean, other people have different ideas, but once you see someone do something, you can't stop it. You think, well, that's good. My God, that was good. And then you try and do it yourself, and it hasn't come organically from you. Right. You're just copying somebody.
Right.
And Doug Hughes has been good enough not to make us copy what they did. He's let us create our own new production.
Do you and Cherry, though, talk about this role, this woman
She just called me up to say, with that great voice came one night, and she said, Eileen, I'm so thrilled it's going to be you. You're going to take over. Let me tell you, you're going to have a ball. Yeah. And that's what she said. Yeah. And that we've not discussed it. But we both said, once she knew she was doing the road show, she said, I won't come and see you either. And I said, you won't be up. She said, no, I would. You know, I wouldn't dream of.
Right. Well, it's a fascinating role, and of course, for those people who haven't seen Doubt yet, it's about a nun who suspects a priest of having an improper relationship with one of the young men in the school.
A 12-year-old, yeah.
She goes on a campaign to bring him down. When Cherry was on this show, I asked her this question. You have no doubt playing this character that this priest is guilty. In your mind, and when you're working this role out, you thinking this play, reading it?
Of course, you have to. That's the part. I have no doubt. Of course, I have no doubt when I'm playing it. And I haven't. Ron and the director.
Ron Eldard, who's your
Ron Eldard, have had their talk separately about what they think he did or didn't do, and they've made up their mind, and they have kept that quiet from me, and I haven't listened, and I don't want to know what they've worked out. I don't know. I don't want to know what Ron thinks. So I just played. No, of course I have no doubt.
Mm-hmm. But in the end of the play, that sort of shattering scene, after this surety you have throughout, you say, "Oh, but I have such doubts." And this is the great question. What are the doubts you believe that she has? That he didn't do it?
I'm afraid I believe completely and utterly, and I try and make it very clear with my rosary and God knows what, and God knows what, that the doubts are about her faith.
Her faith. Not about him, and not about his actions, but about her faith.
No, I think that's pretty clear in the play.
That's what comes across. Yeah.
And I wanted to make that, as I said to Doug before, how many people walk out of this play thinking that the doubt is the end is about her faith? Because that's a much bigger and much more important question than whether one priest did or didn't do something. And he said, about 5% of the people, 95 walk out thinking you're in doubt about the priest.
What she did to him,
And I said, well, I want it to be at least 40% walking out thinking that it's about her doubt in her faith, because that's a much more important thing.
Yeah. I thought, in my interpretation of the play, which I think you were onto in this performance, is it's not only doubts about the faith, but doubts about having given her life to this institution, the church, that is going to promote this guy and cover up for him and send him on his way.
I'm thrilled to hear you say that, because that is precisely it. That is precisely it. This great edifice of the Catholic Church has let her down.
Yeah.
And that this is her life. Her life has been taken away from her by their reaction.
So has she no doubt that perhaps she handled it wrong, but that by setting this in motion, she got a result she did not expect? And I always wondered if she didn't have doubt about starting the whole thing that ended up with him getting in a better place, in a place where he could exploit more children.
I think if she sat and really talked about it to herself, yes, she could come up with some. She could think, well, how terrible, because it's now given me a hellish
I made
life
it worse.
now. I've made it worse, yes. But it's very deep what happens to her at the end, I think.
I don't know. You can sort of give us your interpretation of it, but for someone who's seen both Cherry's performance and yours, what I found, Cherry was on the march. She's going to take him down.
You lie.
But with you, there's this sort of craftiness.
You lie.
Slyness, like she's just spinning the web with which to trap him, which is what I love about that performance of yours.
Well, if you haven't seen somebody else, you
don't
know.
Course,
Obviously, I've heard things. People have started. I say, I don't want to hear.
Right.
I don't want to hear. I don't
sorry.
want to hear what was happening. No, that's fine, because I have heard that. But it's just a different interpretation. I used to say to Doug in rehearsal, listen, I'm terrifying enough as a person. I don't intend to be, but I know I'm terrifying. So I don't have to act terrifying.
Right, you don't have to. You don't push that. Yeah.
I'm naturally terrifying. I don't want to be, but that's what happens. So it's just a different. I just say, I don't know what Cherry thought. I mean, luckily, not luckily, like everyone else. I first saw Cherry play the Heiress, and I thought she was simply wonderful. And I think she's one of your greatest actresses. I mean, and I'm talking about 5 of the greatest that you've got. So it was bold of me, but I knew I was going to be different, because when I read the play for the first time, oddly enough, not knowing how it was played and not knowing anything about it, I thought it was Irish.
Oh.
And I read it in Irish, and I haven't had to change a single word to play it in Irish.
Now, you said to me before we began the interview that you would not do an American accent.
Never in America.
Why?
Well, for one thing, I think most of the American accents that the British do over here are rubbish.
But they pride themselves in that so often, on their American
They do,
accent.
and they pride themselves wrongly, if I may say so. And, I think I might get away with it in England, but I'm not going to get away with it in America. And I had to fight a bit about that, and I had to say, I won't come. If you're going to make me do it in American, I'm not coming.
Who did you have to fight?
Well, the director and the writer. But they're very happy now. It's okay. I wouldn't say fight, but I think they were a bit taken aback when I said, no, I won't do American.
I actually think the Irish accent works perfectly. There's no reason why a woman nun in 1963 would not have been born in Ireland and be living in Boston.
No, absolutely. Likely.
Likely.
Likely. I mean, I said to them, you know, in England, we think all nuns are Irish. I mean, that's what we think.
Now, another change I've noticed is your habit is different from the one that Cherry wore. Is this your Eileen Atkins,
bonnet? Your
bonnet, specially designed for you?
Bob Curley, you know who I mean by Bob Curley?
The designer.
About to do Tarzan. Said to me, he's a great mate, and he said, you're not going to like that bonnet. You're not going to like that bonnet. You really aren't. And I looked at it in the pictures and thought, I'm not going to like that bonnet. And then he called me up after the picture was in the New York Times and said, you've won over the bonnet. No, I just altered it slightly, just had it slightly altered. And in fact, one or two people said, oh, but they didn't have it. I found photographs to prove my point.
That they had this.
That there were some that had it that bit further back. I just find it very hard to watch someone all evening that has the bonnet round there. You need to see the face, and I've just taken it off.
And you're increasing the sight lines of the number of people who can watch you emote
when
you're looking at them. Yeah.
Otherwise, the whole evening as an actress, you're thinking, God, they've got to see my face, and you're bringing your face around the whole time.
Right.
And I didn't want to have to think about that.
Cherry said when she was doing the part, she was looking for the part, she found the glasses. She wore glasses. And once she said that she found the right glasses and put the glasses on, that's when things began to crystallize. Is that a kind of acting style that you take? Have you found anything like that?
Never. No. That when I worked with Beryl Reid, she used to do that. Everybody has a different. You know, there are so many roads lead to Rome.
Right.
Beryl Reid used to say, I can't find a character until I get the shoes. Alec Guinness used to find things. You know, a thing he put on himself. I just don't do it. I just don't work that way. I never have a moment of finding the character as far as I'm concerned. I just feel very boring, as if I just paste in, and I have to warn everybody that I'm very slow, and you have to, it's like just, sometimes you look at someone, or you see, everything seems to be about your part while you're rehearsing. Everything. And you notice people, and you think, oh, they do that, do they? Oh, right, yes, I see. Everything seems to do with it, but I didn't meet a nun, I didn't, you know.
So I mean, when you're in the middle of rehearsing, when you're, walking down the street, you're thinking about the part, and you're observing people around you, picking up this little
You don't think you are, but you are. I had a wonderful thing happen in the middle of this. Such a piece of luck. I walked in one day, and then you do think things are set up for it. I pinged on the telly just to get the news, and I got Frank McCourt, right at the beginning, being interviewed about his latest book, which I had been reading while I was doing the play to get the feel. I only read Irish books while I was doing the play, just to get in the rhythm, have the rhythm with it all the time.
Right.
And there he was, someone exactly what I was trying to do, someone who had been brought up in Ireland, and left Ireland at about, he left when he was 19, which is what I'd imagined in my life, that she met this American when she was 19 and came. And I thought, I can't believe it. It's the accent I'm using. And
really?
It was my accent. So that gave me immense confidence.
Right. At the risk of sounding too technical about acting, because the performance, your performance is fascinating to me. One of the things about it is the way you use your hands in this play. I mean, we were struck by this. You know, the way you crook the finger at him.
I'm not aware.
And I was going to, oh yeah,
wonderful.
but you're not aware of that. Somebody once said of reading a Walter Kerr review, he mentioned, the way this actress moved her hand, and she said, once I read that, I could never do it again the same. I became self-conscious of it. So these are not things that you technically work out?
No, no, I don't. I can't think of anything I work out technically. No, I just try and. Sounds so pathetic and boring. I just try and be what the person appears to be from the script. And thank God I've got a wonderful script. What do you say? I keep saying to myself, what do you say? What are you saying to this person? Why do you say that there? why are you thinking that there? And that's all I do on every single line. I don't do anything else. That sounds very boring. I'm sorry.
Oh, no.
Well, it certainly doesn't play boring on the stage, I have to tell you. But you said earlier something interesting about, you know, putting on a little bit of makeup before you go on, that you have the ritual of that. Explain that to me.
Well, it's just a strange thing. Other actors these days like to go in and do a lot of warm-ups with voice, you know. If you've been in the theatre for well over 50 years, which I have, you know, you mostly have a voice that is already warmed up. And, you know, I sometimes do it with some of the young ones just to be social. Really. But to me, and the way I was brought up as an actress, is you have your place in your dressing room. You have certain things. And I can never understand why people work internally about and as you say, you know, Cherry got the glasses and everything. It's really just like Cherry with the glasses. I think that if you are a certain kind of person, then something happens to your face. Now, mostly it happens through the acting. Mostly, you know, I have no idea what happens to my face, but I'm sure it's not like my face is now.
No.
During the play. And just to do one or two things to help that character, I think you can nearly always do something with makeup. And on this case, and I went a little too far last night, I wanted her to look very pale, as if she never gets in the sun. Because she says, I hardly ever get out into this garden. They're always indoors all the time. I thought she'd be very, very, very pale, and they're always cold. So I do a little red around my nose.
Oh,
you know how they're always a bit cold.
Those
places are always
drafty, cold.
So those are the two things I do. But the sweet thing is that Jenna Malone, who's never been on the stage before, actually
who's playing the young nun.
Yes, and she said to me about a week before we were to go into the theatre, Eileen, you know, should I put powder or something on? Because she's never done theatre. She's always been made up for movies. And I said, well, some people do and some people don't, and it's up to you. My feeling is that if you're going to have a huge amount of lights on you, then it's going to change the planes of your face. So you ought to put some planes back. You ought to bring it back a bit to life. And so she thought about it. I said, but you know, you're playing a nun. Nuns wouldn't wear makeup, so you'll probably be happier not wearing any. And then I noticed she was wearing a little bit one night. She'd given herself a little bloom, rather more bloom. And I said to her, oh, so you're wearing some makeup? And she said, I watched you, and I liked the ritual. And of course, that is precisely what it is. It's ritual. And if I don't have that hour in my dressing room, just laying things out, and it's an absolute ritual. You know, this, do this, and everything has to be the same every night. Then it just gives me, looking in that mirror and thinking about the woman, just gives me the right thing. Other people do other things. Other people jump about on stage and do different things.
Do you see Ron Eldard before the performance starts, or is the first time you see him when he comes into your office in the play?
Oh, no, we're all very jolly.
You're all very jolly.
No. I would say
I think Cherry and Brian did that.
What?
That they did see each other before on the night before the entrance.
But they saw each other every night afterwards.
Oh, later,
so,
yes, but I mean, so I just mean before, when you're doing your ritual.
No, I would say that Ron's my type of actor, and thank goodness. We're, you know, obviously, Cherry and Brian were the same type, which is great. But Ron always comes in and says, let's have a good time tonight. Yeah. That's his little ritual, and I say, we're out there and we'll have fun. And no, I'm not much of a one for being my part off stage, really. You know.
You don't take the work home.
I'm afraid not. No, I'm dreadful. I mean, sometimes I've been if I'm playing a play too long, I'm often talking in the wings about a hat I bought that day.
My kind of acting.
I am not. Though I have a lot of admiration. I mean, someone like Daniel Day-Lewis, who I think is utterly wonderful, is completely the other way. It's a weird business, acting. You get there the way you can, your way, and everyone's different.
Now, Ron Eldard is your kind of actor, and you're apparently Colin Farrell's kind of an actress. Now, you were in the gossip columns a few months ago because you were making a movie with this sexy young star who I think he essentially said he wanted to sleep with you or he was in love with you. Well, what is the real story here?
Let me say, first of all, that Colin Farrell is a brilliant actor and one of the great charmers of the world. And I wish there were millions of Colin Farrells because he's so gorgeous. I was doing a film in Cape Town, and the silly thing was I went on a talk show, a very silly afternoon talk show.
Much like ours.
No, not as serious as yours. And it was just to plug the birthday party.
Yeah.
And they were talking about
the play you were in at the time.
Yeah. And they were talking about sex without strings. And then I came on and everyone went very reverential and started talking about. And I said, oh, look, this is awfully boring. Can't we talk about what you were talking about before I came in, sex without strings? And they said, well, what do you know about that? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I said, 3 weeks before my 70th birthday, I was offered sex without strings by the most gorgeous young film star. And I said, it cheered me up no end, the best birthday present I could have had. That's all I said. By the time I got home, the press was the front of my house, the back of my house, because I am so stupid. I think that people can't look up immediately on the net and see what I was doing 3 weeks, and then they see Colin Farrell, and they go, it has to be Colin Farrell. I felt so awful for Colin. But the fact was...
Is it true, though? He offered you sex for that?
They did offer. He came to my room after... let me tell you, actors are very attracted to each other if you've just done some good work all day together. And he's a wonderful actor, and he's wonderful to act with. And
how's he in bed?
Look, all the men were furious with me. The men were furious and aggressively angry that he could have found a 69-year-old woman attractive. And all the women were furious with me for not having slept with her. But he was so enchanting. I let him stay about 3 hours. Yeah. Every so often I'll say no, but he's just so enchanting. And he's gallant. He's just a darling. I mean, he just is a darling. And let me say, behaves immaculately on set. I mean, never late. Yeah. Never doesn't know his lines. Very helpful, very biddable, but that does what the director wants. And he's a remarkable young man.
Hitting on the leading lady.
I mean, I was laughing. I was shrieking with laughter in the room. I said, Colin, do you know how many of those young girls hang around the girls in the makeup van? Everybody's longing to go to bed with you, and you're here with me. You are 28 years old. I am 69. Go. And then he'd start. He just had Irish blarney, and he'd say, oh, come on now, and we had a wonderful talk. He's an enchanting man.
I must say the man has good taste in women.
Well, but I mean, the difference was ludicrous. I have to say, had I been 30 years younger, it would have been a different story. My husband said he would have forgiven me.
Yeah, right. Well, something else I wanted to ask you. One sees these Harry Potter movies, and I see every great British stage actor, Michael Gambon and Maggie Smith and Alan Rickman. They're all in these movies. I never see you in Harry Potter. Have you not been offered? Do you want? No. Oh, would you do?
They must not like me. Would I do? Well,
would you do a Harry Potter?
I'm panting to do one. I have to say, I'm one of the few people in the world who I can't read. I read voraciously, and I've tried to read Harry Potter because I'm thrilled that it's made children read. I'm thrilled that books are back in, and Oprah Winfrey has made people read. I mean, I'm thrilled books are back, but I can't read Harry Potter.
I can't either.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that.
That's whimsy and all
the children
stuff,
enjoy it. And
yeah.
But I was never into magic much anyway.
You have a big movie coming up.
Do I?
Yes.
What?
It's got Salma Hayek in it.
That's the one with Colin.
Oh, that is?
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, what's it called?
Well, it was called Ask the Dust.
Ask the Dust, that's it. Ask the Dust. That's it, it's coming. You have third billing.
People are going to shriek when they see how I look, when they think, that's what he acted with all day, and that's what he wanted to go. Because I play his landlady. I've got a grey wig on. I've got little half-pinch glasses, and I'm a horrible woman again, and I'm vile to him. So it's a good story, and they're both wonderful.
Ask the Dust, Doubt on Broadway. It's been great having you on Theater Talk, and it's really wonderful to have you back in New York giving such a fine performance in this terrific play.
Thank you very much indeed, both of you.
It's always
Thank
good to see you.
Did you give Donald Muller wine to drink?
Whatever I have done, I have left in the healing hands of my confessor, as have you. We are the same.
Oh, we're not the same. A dog that bites is a dog that bites. I don't justify what I do wrong and go on. I admit it, desist, and take